All right. So here I am with the Meze. Oh, well, with the Dekoni ear pads for the Meze 99 lineup. So for your 99 classics, the Noirs, the Neos, or whatever else has the number 99 on it. Those whatever headphones that Meze makes after 99, the ear pads, Dekoni has made ear pads for them. Now, there's only one type of Dekoni ear pad, so for the Meze 99s. I think it's only Elite Sheepskin. They don't make the other three like what they normally do with the other types of headphone pads that they make. Now, let me talk about the reason why I bought these in the first place. So, believe it or not, these are my second pair of Meze 99 Noirs. And when I got my first Noirs, I loved them a lot. Uh, I'm coming off a Hyperman Sundara. I never really listened to a warm headphone at the time, outside of whatever earbuds I had back when I was a high school student. I imagine those were very warm sounding or very dark sounding. Now, uh, of course, everyone knows that these days the Meze 99s they come with two pairs of pads. The default pad is the larger pad, and then the second pair that you can switch to is a smaller pad. And with the smaller pad, I enjoyed the sound of the smaller pad a whole lot more than the larger pad. So here, these are the original small pads that come with the Mezes. And the reason why is because it makes the bass punchier. It stops the Mezes from trying to play like the really low bass notes that I think didn't sound the best with larger pads. And in return, it clears up the mids and highs a bit more. It makes it less dark sounding. So it makes it a bit more warm and a little bit less dark, because I know some people found the large ear pads, the default pads, to make the Meze sound too dark for them. The small ear pads were the solution to that. Now, my issue was not the comfort or the bass or whatever with the default pairs of pads that came with the Mezes. The issue was center imaging. So on all of my other headphones, I own my Sundaras, my Moondrop Starfields, uh, my XM3s, and my KOS KPH 30Is. I mean, those are all the headphones I currently own, besides outside the Mezes. Whenever I listen to music where they have distinct sounds coming out of the exact center position, or I run like a sound test to make sure that the headphones I just bought are still working okay. Whenever when it came to like phantom center phantom center stability or whatever, or like center imaging, whenever I ran those tests or listened to music that where a lot of music comes straight from the center, with the Mezes, it was always slightly to the left, and that bugged the hell out of me. I'm pretty sensitive to. I'm guessing I'm. Turns out that I'm very sensitive to center imaging. Uh, and I did not have this issue with any of my other headphones. I do a center imaging test on my Sundara is perfect in the center. Moondrop's perfect in the center, so on and so forth. It just bugged the hell out of me, which is a shame because I really loved my Meze. Outside of that, I really loved the sound that came from the Mezes. I don't, I love my Sundaras, so maybe there are days where I just want to listen, to something, to a pair of headphones where the bass comes out a little bit more. Sometimes I want a warm sounding day, and that's what my Mezes were for. My Sony's, they're more for my, the wireless Bluetooth part. But if I'm sitting on my computer listening to music, I don't want to plug in my Sony's. I rather plug in my Mezes. If I'm feeling a bassy day. Now, of course, on payday is when I discovered the existence of these Dekoni pads for Mezes, and then I dropped the 60 or $70 for it. They just arrived today, and the first thing I did was put them on and see if my center imaging issues go away, because the only way that I was able to get proper center imaging on the small pads was I take the headphones and I just pushed them down on my ears hard and it pushed them in. And that was the only way that I was able to get center imaging properly. And then I think slowly it goes away because the cushions, after you push them in, the pressure, they slowly blow back up a little bit. And then suddenly I lose my center imaging, it goes back slightly left again. So there was just some issue with the fit between these small ear pads from Meze and my messed up ears and my glasses. With the Dekoni pads, that issue goes away. All right, so what I mainly bought them for, they fix the issue. And this is not my first pair of Dekoni pads. This is actually my second pair. My very first pair of Dekoni pads were for my Sundaras. Long story short, I bought them because the pads of my Sundaras kept on disintegrating, literally disintegrating. I took pictures of it, and it was out of, at that point, the warranty worn out on my Hi-Fi Man. So I was just like, well, they're not going to honor it, so I'm going to go ahead and buy a new pair and never buy a Hi-Fi Man endorsed or pads ever again, or use one that's endorsed by them. And I got those pads, and now they're hanging out in the back because it turns out Hi-Fi Man was nice enough to honor my warranty even though after it expired and gave me a new pair of pads again. So I'm going to wait for those guys to disintegrate first before I fully switch back to the Dekoni Hi-Fi Man pads that I got. So the fit and comfort is basically the same as those Dekoni pads I got from my Hi-Fi Man. So I'm going to assume that is their signature fit with Dekoni, which is firm. It's a firm seal, but it's soft. A firm seal, but soft, which is great for people like me that always have to put on their headphones put on their glasses when they put on their headphones. So, like this, it kind of reminds you of the black couch or like the black leather couch in the family room kind of thing. It feels like that, but instead of your body sitting on it, it's your ears sitting on it. It's a nice secure feel. Like it pushes just enough so you know that these headphones will never fall off my ears. And my glasses will never fall off. It's firm enough. It's firm enough for that. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt at all. It still has that comfort. It pushes just enough. And I like that feel. In fact, I actually do enjoy that type of comfort and feel over the very, very soft, cushiony feel of the default pads that come with the Mezes, both the large one and the small one. So I guess at this point the issue is, well, they fit. Well, did they mess up the sound? And at this point, I'm going to compare everything to the smaller Meze ear pads because I have not listened to the larger ear pads in a long time. Because the moment I declared that these were better and that they were so comfortable to me, I never ever put on the larger ear pads from Meze ever since. Now, if you go online, I believe there was a frequency response graph, and unfortunately, I am still a beginner. I'm still a beginner audiophile. I still don't know half the vocab that comes out of people's mouths or half the vocab that comes from written reviews of headphones. So take my word with a grain of salt, all of it. But a couple of things I noticed. The stage is like a pinch more spacious, and I think the reason why is because these pads are thicker than these guys. All right, and in return, the drivers are slightly farther away than they are compared when these are on. So you need to increase the volume just a little bit more than normal to get the same listening. It's like very slight, like 2% more or something like that if I were to pull a number out of my ass. Now, the big thing is like, okay, well, is it bloated bass? Because you look at that frequency response pad, the bass is like I think it's like compared to the original pads, it's a lot higher. Like everything's just a little bit higher, and it actually sounds the same as these in terms of the bass and the mids. It actually sounds about the same. Like it doesn't feel like it got too bloated or it got less bloated. It feels around the same. and the mids are about the same as well. But the thing I did notice was the treble is a little bit higher. It's a little bit louder, and and because it's a little bit louder than normal, it is slightly sharper. Not to the point where suddenly it's no longer a warm headphone. It is still a warm sounding pair of headphones. But if you are extremely treble sensitive, and the original and when the original Mezes before the pads, before you put on Dekoni pads with the original pads, like it dulled the treble exactly enough for you. And if any other bit of treble comes back in, you're gonna start feeling fatigue. Don't get these pads because it does. You do hear slightly more treble. Particularly, I noticed that with like the clicks and claps in EDM tracks and the high notes from pianos and violin strings. Those type of sounds is just ever so slightly louder and ever so slightly sharper. But it is still a warm sounding headphone. I don't think that now it's suddenly sounding more neutral or bright like my Sundaras or whatever. Definitely still a warm sounding headphone for sure. So yeah, if you can handle that and you want like a nice Dekoni style ear pads for your mezes, this is awesome. And oh, I do want to mention this if I forgot to mention early in the video. I know that there are some people that they read about how the small ear pads sound better than the larger default ear pads that came with their mezes. But the issue was when they switched to the small one, suddenly it was a lot more uncomfortable because since it's a smaller pad, the uh, the ear hole's a lot smaller and they have big ears. So unfortunately, they're like, well, I'll just stick with the larger default ear pads because at the end of the day, the headphones got to be comfortable before I even care about sound quality, right? The ear holes on the Dekonis are actually bigger. They're a little bit closer to the larger ear pads. I don't know the exact measurements, but just like going A and B and comparing them, they are bigger than the ear holes are bigger than these guys. So for those that really wanted to know what it's like to have the ear hole size of the large ear pads and about the same sound of the small ear pads, I think these ear pads hit it. So yeah, so that's basically it. I definitely not gonna take these off. It fixed my center imaging issues. It still sounds like these guys for the most part, and therefore I'm much more willing to switch back and forth between my Sundaras and these guys. Whenever I want those bassy days, sitting on my computer, I'm gonna swap to these guys now. Earlier, before these Dekoni pads, I was just like not willing. Man, these guys were pretty much collecting dust because the imaging issue, the center imaging was just bugging me so bad that I just rather just never used them and just stick to my Sundaras for a long period of time. And yeah, there you go. I do recommend these. They're unfortunately they are Dekoni, so we are talking about pricier pads, but unfortunately for me, well, fortunately I guess, depending on how you look at it, I discovered the existence of these pads on paycheck day, so it kind of impulsed me to buy them. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully that will be enough for everyone to decide whether or not these ear pads are for them. And again, take my word for a grain of salt. I am a big audiophile. I'm getting to the point where I'm spending too much money on audio equipment, but I still don't know the technicalities of all of it. So, which is bad because I don't exactly have a high-paying job. I'm an educator. But yeah, see y'all soon.